Hi and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to Matteo and Chiara, who are the geniuses behind VD Pictures and are responsible for some of my most favourite metal music videos, including my all-time favourite, Raining Stars by Lord of the Lost. So without any more hesitation, let's just get right into it and start chatting. So hi guys, and thank you for agreeing to talk to me. I'm so excited for this.
We are too.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No, thank you. I'm really, really happy. So I think we should just dive right into this and get started. And I just wanted to ask, so obviously COVID has impacted a lot of productions everywhere. How has that been for you with business? So what's happened for you guys? What's changed? How have you pivoted and how have you coped with the new normal, as they keep calling it?
Yeah, we don't really like to call it the new normal. We just don't want to give up on what used to be the normal. So, but yeah, of course, I mean, it has impacted us in some way, but honestly, we thought it was going to be much, much worse. When things started rolling, we're both from Italy, so we both have family there, and Italy was, of course, hit pretty bad already at the beginning of 2020. So we kind of had the news in advance when the rest of Europe was kind of sleeping on it. We were already terrified pretty much. And so we started preparing quite early for it, and we expected it to have a really big impact on the company. But instead, of course, I mean, some things had to change. We were shooting a lot abroad, shooting a lot in Germany. A lot of our clients are in Germany, and we had to give up on this kind of stuff. But then luckily we got a lot of our graphic design jobs and all that sort of stuff that you can do remotely. So we basically focused on that and on local customers, because obviously it was easier to arrange shootings here in Switzerland. And yeah, we basically managed to do a few shootings abroad during those breaks where it kind of looked for a second like things were gonna go back to normal. So they opened the airports and they allowed people to travel.
And luckily some quite big jobs. So one was the Lord of the Lost Judas thing.
Yeah. And Mr. Misery in Sweden.
There was like 2 videos. So that kept us alive for a few months, even work-wise and editing-wise, because it was a lot of work, and not just the pre-production, not just the shooting itself, but also the whole post-production was quite long, and that was great. That was great. I already miss it.
So yeah, you kind of touched on that about the restrictions of filming, but you did actually film a remote video, fully remote. So can you tell me a bit more about that project?
Yeah, that was interesting because we were supposed to be there, but then the restrictions were really hard. And we decided together with the guys of Lord of the Lost to try this experience of remote shooting, meaning that I was on Zoom, I suppose. The guys had 2 cams connected to their Zoom. One was on the set, and the other one was on a little screen where I could see what was going on, and they had headphones and microphones, so we could communicate during the shooting itself, and I could give directions and things like that. It worked pretty well, mainly because the 2-3 guys who were operating there were absolutely great. I mean, I was sitting in my office and really comfortable and relaxed, and for once was nice for me to just give directions and not shoot with the cam or with the Steadicam or with the whatever I had to do. It was quite relaxing for me, but it was also interesting to sit there for 7, 8, 9 hours. Yeah, I mean, it was quite something. We did both the photo shooting and the video shooting like that.
And actually it was 3
days.
it was the whole Gospel of Judas video,
Yeah.
and then it was part of For They Know Not What They Do. Yeah. Because we shot part of that in August, and then some parts were shot in the studio. So it was actually one video and a bit.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, it worked. At least I wasn't completely in the dark when I received the footage. I kind of knew what what we did, because sometimes I really do not like to edit other people's material, because you have to go through a lot of stuff, and if I shoot it, I know what's there and what's not there, and in this case was a sort of something in the middle. Kind of knew what was there, and also a few surprises, which were sometimes good, sometimes bad. That always happens. But yeah, it was interesting.
Well, I saw that you filmed Powerwolf's new video, Dancing with the Dead.
Yeah.
I
And the
love
one
that
before,
song,
yeah.
can't get it out of my head. I absolutely adore it, and I sing it in the street, which is really bad. But I have to ask, that looked like you were actually on the set. Was that pre-COVID, during COVID? And if it was like a set, did you have to go through lots of, I don't know, hoops to actually make it happen?
That was shot here in Switzerland. Actually, both of the Powerwolf videos that they released for this new album were shot here in Switzerland, because in Switzerland has been kind of relaxed with COVID. So it was actually easier for the guys to come here than not the other way around. We would have much more problems in Germany. It was shot during COVID. They were both shot during COVID, but it was when right before they started vaccinating, when the things started going kind of well again. It was kind of hard traveling, but not so hard. I mean, we had, since Germany and Switzerland are neighbors, you have some kind of accommodations and some kind of, you know, more like looser regulation if you stay in the country for like, let's say, less than 48 hours. So it was dangerous, and we have done this production always keeping in mind that something could go wrong last minute.
But actually everyone on the set, on both videos, everybody was tested prior to the video, both from our side and the Powerwolf side. So we try to keep the things in the to have things as safe as possible.
Yeah, also whoever was not in makeup or on the set was obliged, well, it was mandatory to have masks on at all times. And as he said, everybody, every single member of the crew, band, whoever, makeup artist, dancers, everyone was tested prior to the video, because we have to make sure that it's safe for us, for the band, and for the people working with us.
Totally. And so, I mean, obviously working on a kind of set like that, but then also doing remote videos. As directors, as production people, have there been any lessons you've learned or things that have happened where you've gone, actually, I'm going to take this forward with future productions? I mean, has anything good kind of come out of having to work in such restricted, kind of limited means?
Personally, no.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
I don't think we, I mean, it just makes everything a lot more unsure and uncertain. And it's not a feeling that we want to take with us once the situation is finally blown over.
I mean, on personal levels, some things you can, you know, it's always people say, oh, you find some things about yourself that you had no idea about, and that can happen. But work-wise and talking about our kind of job, I would say no, because as she said, everything is much less relaxed, even though we are really everybody says that we are a relaxed production, but no, I would say no, not at all.
Okay, no worries. I know some productions started doing teaching people how to be on Zoom. So like I know this one ex-BBC director who started teaching people how to do Zoom calls and charging them like £200 an hour.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Why not?
Yeah.
If you find other ways that you can, I mean, we know, for example, some rentals and some studios that were used to do video production or film production. Now they are doing live streamings, which was something that they never did before, just because every other business plan they had was not working. So they started to do something else. Like with my band, for example, we had tours planned and things and nothing happened. So we started streaming on Twitch, which was and is really cool. Really, it's working pretty well for the band. But, you know, probably if we would not know what to do, we would start to do something.
Yeah, probably because
else.
we were lucky enough not to have to think about something else, because the amount of work was pretty much the same.
Oh, okay.
And so we didn't really have time to think, or we we didn't have the chance to think of alternatives because we didn't need to.
Yeah, it's just, the reason I was asking was I saw that you guys had shared a beautiful picture of a ballerina. And one thing that I saw with the caption was, it's just given us a chance to do things that maybe we've not had a chance to do just because we've been so busy. And I thought that was really nice that you actually were getting to do some like still photography. Or am I completely wrong?
It's a model photography that's actually a good friend of ours from Switzerland. And it's true. I mean, because of all the works with the bands and music videos, we are used to do band photography. We're used to do music videos, but we hardly get to do, artistic project that we just want to do because they're fun or because they're interesting to us or whatnot. So yes, that was the very, very first time that we managed to work on a, let's call it glamour shooting just for the sake of it. I mean, there was no reason behind it.
To say the full truth.
Well, she was there to shoot a video.
Yeah, it was just after the video shooting that we did those photos.
So
never stop.
Okay, so I suppose what everyone's going to want to know about is you've just finished shooting Viva Vendetta.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, I was absolutely stunned. Like, it was amazing. Like, it's very, like, it had that feel of like a Sergio Leone movie. Like, at the start, like Once Upon a Time in the West. And it didn't even feel like a music video. It felt cinematic. It felt like it could be, the start of a really cool Netflix series. So you got to tell me, like, everything and like how did you achieve this? Were you part of the concept? Like, you went to Berlin to film it? I want to know everything because it was an absolute masterpiece, and it was 7 minutes 50, and I was like, wow, that's like really long. And I also saw you had drone work. So my question is, just tell me everything, please.
Let's start with the 7 minutes and 50 length, which is absolutely unusual for a music video. And the funny thing is that it wasn't supposed to be like that. Mm-hmm. It was supposed to be just a plain normal version of the song as you find it on the Lord of the Lost record that is about 3 minutes, pretty much. And then we had so much great footage. We had so many good images that we couldn't really... We tried to decide which one was going to stay and which one was going to go. And then we realized that too much good material was just going to go to waste. And we couldn't do that. So we know that Chris from Lord of the Lost he would have understood the situation. And we talked to him and he was like, actually, I had the very same idea. I just didn't want to ask you guys because I know it's much more demanding as a project and I know you guys are busy, so I don't want to start with a video that is 3 minutes and then give you double the amount of work. And we were like, no, this is probably the only time in our history where we actually need the song to be longer. So we told him we need 20 seconds more here, 20 more there, 20 more there, and then it ended up being 8 minutes, but it wasn't the plan originally.
Yeah, no, it definitely didn't feel too long. Like it flowed together really beautifully. And I have to say, and I'm so bad at pronouncing names, so tell me if I'm wrong. Zelana,
yeah.
Zelana, I mean, watching her in slow motion, I could do that all day. She was absolutely stunning. I was like, I love this.
Also in real life, she's like that.
She's great.
So I suppose that leads to my next question is, like, you have drones in there, and I've noticed with some of your videos recently, you're using drones a lot more. Is this your drone operator? Is it your drones? Is it something you guys are getting into, drone cinematography?
No, we don't have a drone operator. We use drone operators depending on the job, if it's needed, or mainly if it's requested by the band. It's not my first choice to have drones in videos. I used to not be a fan of drone operators, at least by experience, because we had some, let's say, not so great experiences in the past, and really expensive and not really worth the material that after we got. On the other side, we had great experiences too. But no, it's mainly by band request. I see their point sometimes. And in this case was great because the guy who was droning, who was driving the drone, was really cool. It was just for short scenes, but yeah, it's not something part of the company per se. It's more like depending on the video itself. And in that case, we look for people that we know, or the band maybe have someone or stuff like that. Because sometimes you don't want to spend, 3/4 of the budget for a scene, for 5 seconds of a music video, which...
Oh yeah, drone operators are not cheap. And you're right, because I've worked with a production company too, and you don't know what you're getting unless you really know someone that's going to assemble each time.
Exactly.
It's always a gamble, and it is always expensive. But I suppose that takes me to my next question, which is, who assembles the crew? Sorry, that sounds very Avengers, assemble, but like, who is it? Is it you guys, or is it the band? Like, do they come to you and say, use this crew, or do you go, no, this is who we are going to bring in?
It really depends. It really depends on the project. It really depends on the band. It really depends where we are. Like, for instance, here in Switzerland, we have an assistant we always use for jobs. But sometimes...
And that's all. I mean, that's a crew.
That's our crew. It's one person.
That's something that always surprises people, that beside the Lord of the Lost productions, for example, or Mono Inc., but if you go through the credits of our music videos, it's mainly there is maybe one assistant, or especially now since COVID, but even before, it's really small. There is no DOP, there is not... maybe there is one light operator, one gaffer if you're lucky, but that's all. I mean, we do, I think, 80% of our videos, me, Chiara, and Tony, who's our Swiss assistant, who also travels abroad if it's needed. Depends. Some bands have bunches of little elves helping. And it's like this for Lord of the Lost. It's like this for
Lord of the Lost. They got like this crew of like 3 guys that they've been using for the past, I think, 3-4 years.
Which are great.
They are great assistants. In fact, I just asked one of them to come work with us on a production we have in Germany. And Mono Inc., for instance, they have the people from their label helping out. So in those specific cases, they give us the crew. But we already know them, so it's not like we have a problem. We perfectly know who we're getting and what they can or cannot do, so it's all good. And for other projects, we assemble the crew. So we go looking for whoever is that we need, but most of the time, as Matteo was saying, it's just us. So there's not much to assemble there.
No.
Well, so in your recent videos, like, I have to ask, because I was bowled over just how cinematic it looked. Like, it just was so beautiful. What are you using? Are you using zooms, primes, anamorphic lenses? What are your secrets?
My secret is extremely cheap lens, which is just magic. No, I said it to everybody. I don't care. I don't. I use primes. It's a mini prime from SLR Magic. It's a really cheap lens. It's old. It was used when I bought it, but it's a lens with character. It's the main lens used, for example, in all of the last Lord of the Lost video. Most of cameramans or DOPs would just cry all of their tears if they would know what we shoot with. But I felt in love with that lens, and it's small and it's light, and these music videos are shot exactly like with small teams, so I don't have a person that I tell him, please change me the lens, I need a wide one now, and whatever. I do all by myself. I set up everything camera wise, and I just go and check for lights and stuff like that. So I need something that it's fast. I can't spend too much time going through 5 primes and test that and test the other one. I need something to be fast. I need to think really fast. And so that's my secret. That lens is my secret. Camera-wise, it's nothing special. Lately, we used to use a Panasonic, and now we're using Blackmagic. But if I can say what I think, it doesn't make any difference. Of course, the quality of cameras right now is pretty high, even in the medium level, so you can have great results without using a red or something that costs $5,000, $50,000 and things like that, even though I would love to have that. But budgets.
Yeah, I think that's one of our peculiarities since the very beginning of the company. I think Matteo is really gifted in terms of eyes and framing and color grading, and he manages to achieve results that looks much more expensive than actually the stuff they were shot with.
Yeah.
So people might, looking at the videos, they might think that we have this big, equipment and team and crew and whatever not, but if you actually come on a set, it's really quite basic. So I personally, ever since working with Matteo, that's now 8 years, I've came to understand that it's not so much about the equipment or the stuff you're using or how many people you have on set, because if you don't have the eye, if you don't have talent, if you don't have a certain kind of taste in colors, you won't achieve that. So he can tell you exactly all the equipment that we use and all the lights and how we place them. And if you tell it to someone else, that someone else is not gonna get the same result that he gets. So
But beside the talent thing, which I don't think, but the thing is with like in music, if you're a musician, or video, if you're whatever, it's knowing your equipment like deeply and reach that 120, 150, 200% of it, use it until it dies, because a lot of people doesn't make the effort of trying to know what they are using. They just go with the easy stuff, but you can really get a lot from this stuff and great results.
Honestly, I was going to say I feel thoroughly catfished. I don't know what I was expecting you to say something like, oh, it was this and it's so fancy. And yeah, thoroughly catfished. That's amazing. And I think that's really good for people to hear. It's like, you don't need a huge budget. You don't need all these things. You can go out and create these stunning videos because, yeah, your videos looked amazing. Like, I would not have, from what you're saying, I honestly think it's Netflix quality production. So, yes, well done. I'm catfished. Totally, but
yeah, I think we've always been used to work with the alternative metal gothic bands, and they don't have big budgets. So ever since the very beginning of the company, we had to make do. We had to get the best result that we could get and have the company grow with it, but without having the big budget. So we had to come up with alternative ideas or solutions or strengths, and that is how we got here, I guess.
So on that topic then, if money was no issue, if it was an unlimited budget, what piece of film equipment would you pick and why? And that is to both of you. Like, what would you want from the toy store?
A cameraman, so that I just have to direct and not film. That would be my only request, personally. I love to be the DOP. I love to decide the lighting of scenes, and I love to do that. And I really enjoy to do this on the set of Viva Vendetta, for example, because there was space enough to place lights, and there were windows, which are one of my favorite things. This is a word of advice for everybody that wants to do this job. If you can, put your lights out of the room where you're filming and place them out of the room, because that looks good. And other than that, no. I mean, yeah, of course, I would love to have a Red or a Mini Alexa or stuff like that, but I don't really mind. I used to be a really nerd about these things, go and check all the new cameras, go and check lenses, and at a certain point, I gave up. I mean, I didn't give up because I thought it was useless. I give up because I know that you can achieve good stuff without going crazy about that. Of course, when we would have the chance, we would use it, but didn't happen till now. I mean, we could have a couple of times, but we spend the money for more important things.
As for me, yeah, I have to kind of copy his answer, because again, it wouldn't be a piece of equipment, but I would love to have like a production assistant or just some more people working with us.
Yeah.
Because it would make our job a lot easier, and we could probably push things even more if we had some trusted people that we could delegate some of the lesser things to.
Okay, so when an artist comes to you, what is the process? Like, do you guys, I mean, so when an artist comes to you with a concept, do you like storyboard it out? I mean, where do you go from the blank page to a fully actualized what's going to happen on set? How do you go about that process?
Do I do it?
Yeah, that's I mean, I'm not allowed to answer to people, so to emails and bands.
Yeah, so generally the first contact is through me. So the band comes to us and says, listen, we want to shoot this video for this song. And I start asking what's their idea about it, if they have an idea. Because some band come to us and they have a very specific idea of what they want. And some other people are kind of like, I want a music video. That's it. Then you do whatever. And
A really small part of it. Of bands.
Yeah, it's true. Most of the bands have at least a vague idea. Sometimes not so vague. Sometimes it's very, very specific. And some others are more like, this is the song. And then I ask them if they have some key messages that they want to convey through the video, or any story about when they wrote the song or the lyrics, something that could help us understand what they want to portray with that kind of video.
And video references too.
And video references if possible. And then when they give us this kind of information, we usually come up with a story or a couple of options. It's very general. And then if the guys agree, if the band is okay with it, then we develop the concept and start looking for location if needed, actors, yada, 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 all that jazz. And then we get to the production day.
You literally jumped my next question, which was going to be who does the location scouting and the talent scouting? Because you guys have had some pretty awesome locations. Not, I'm going to sound like a pervert, but one of my favorites is when you went to that dungeon and you had the dominatrixes for that video. And I was like, very interesting.
That dungeon, I found it.
Yeah, that dungeon, he found it. Usually we do...
Just in your little black book.
Yeah.
No, we literally we scavenge the internet like there's no tomorrow. And being that we live in German-speaking Switzerland and we work in Germany quite a lot, scavenging in German is not that easy. It takes quite a long time. For that specific place, the dungeon was, because it's now closed, unfortunately, otherwise we would have used it so much more.
It was an amazing place.
It was in Switzerland. It was huge. It was massive.
40 minutes from here. 3 floors of fetish rooms. It was great. It was a heaven.
And the actress is actually an Italian friend of mine who I obviously knew from before. And when we started talking about who we should get for this role, I first had in mind another girl from Italy. Then that girl kind of became unavailable, and then she came to mind, and I was like, okay, I need to get her here and shoot that. And we used her, and I think she's perfect for the role.
Yeah, and her double in that video was the first time, because there was another girl under the PVC
latex suit.
We found this girl who was available and willing to do this kind of scene, because not every model is really willing to sometimes, wear a full body catsuit or be in a place like that. And she was like, yeah, no problem. And that girl, then we had it in like, I think, 10 videos, 15 videos.
And a lot of photo shoots as well. And
because
she's
that's
a good
how we
friend.
work. We try to work often with the same people, because it's easier, it's nice, you have a relation of trust, and you know what this person is willing to do or not willing to do, and it makes things easier. About the location, sometimes it changes every time. Sometimes we find the places, other times the bands find the places. Other times Tony, our assistant, find the places.
Yeah.
There is not a single rule about it. Depends, really depends.
So who found the Cowboy place in Berlin? Because again, I felt really catfished because it was like,
it's actually Tanzwut shot a video there.
That's another band.
Like a couple of months before us, and then Chris was like, I want to shoot a Western themed video for Viva Vendetta, and it's gonna be in this place. And we saw the place because he sent us like clips, because they went to Berlin to check out the place and talk to the owner, yada, 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 and sent us clips. And we saw the place and we were like, are you aware that Tanzwut just shot a video in this very same place? And he was like, oh, yeah, I already spoke to the band. Everything is fine. They know we're going to shoot there too.
I think they actually got the contact directly from...
Chris got in contact with Teufel, the singer from Tanzwut, and asked him permission to shoot there as well. And of course, Teufel, who's a super cool guy, we worked with them many times. Was like, yeah, sure, use it. Chris, of course, guaranteed that the video was going to be a completely different thing from what they've done. And he was like, yeah, sure, no problem. So they came up with the Cowboy.
There is a great alternative in Berlin for Western stuff, which is at the Babelsberg Studios, which is like, like the Universal Studios or Cinecittà in Italy. But that's another ballpark.
Budget.
That's another budget, definitely another budget. So that was not possible.
So my next question is, what is one of the more unglamorous aspects of your job that people don't ever think about? Because most people must look and go, wow, they're just working with cool bands all the time and cool locations.
Yes.
Tell me something that is super unglamorous and you're like, you have no idea. Like,
how much
you have no
time
idea.
have you got?
Okay, let's keep it to a minute.
You can tell your thing and then I can tell mine.
Oh my God, unglamorous, so many things. I mean, shooting in like in between mosquitoes or at minus 20 degrees or at plus 35 degrees or in the mud, in the snow, getting your car stuck in the mud at minus 20 or being abandoned in the woods alone with wolves. Or seriously, these would deserve a whole chapter. It's never glamorous. That the reason is, like, if you look at any behind the scene, any making of with us, we always look like shit. Sorry for the word. And there is a reason for that. We work like 14, 16 hours a day in every kind of weather condition for like 2-3 days in a row. We come back home and sometimes we're just like, we can't keep on doing this. We're gonna die.
Yeah, personally I think the most unglamorous thing for me, it's myself while doing my job. I'm holding 99% of the time a gimbal or a Steadicam, mainly a gimbal, with my camera in like the ugliest position in the world, which is like this. And even if you don't have a big belly, in that position, your belly is like this, and then your back is like this, and you look like what's called Quasimodo,
the Hunchback
of Notre Dame. And everybody's super cool, you know. I play in a gothic band, so I have my hairstyle, my makeup done, and dressed cool. And when I see the backstage photos of our videos, I'm like, dude, seriously, like, oh my God.
Yeah, we try not to watch making of or behind the scenes photos. It's horrible.
But I have
and
to
when
say
bands ask for like the picture at the end of the job or whatever, we hate it because they're all, you know, make-upped and all done and coming out of a shoot. So obviously looking great, and we're looking like crap. And we're like, do we have
do the
to?
picture, where are the sunglasses? Oh, I put my camera here, and I do stupid faces, which always save your ugly face. But yeah, that's the thing. Plus all the things that she said, which are unglamorous, but they are part of the job, of course. And
yes, but it's definitely not shiny 5-star hotels. It's like also sleeping in castles with no roofs and bats just flapping over your head. So that happened too.
Yeah. That was cool, actually.
Yeah, not so much when we were there.
Yeah. Anyway.
No, I completely sympathize. I used to be a production assistant and it was horrendous. It's like you don't understand the meaning of the word cold or rain, or, you know, when you're getting abandoned in a field. That has happened to me. You're just like, are they coming back?
Yes.
Do they remember me if they packed up and gone away? But you just mentioned it, and that was where I wanted to take us next, was Hell Boulevard. I am a fan. I have seen you play live multiple times. And so, yeah, when you do your own videos, so what's that like? Do you find it a challenge to direct yourself? And I mean, or Chiara, do you have to direct him? And I don't know. What's
you can't direct Matteo. You can't.
No, it's
he's a singer and a director. I mean, can you imagine those things combined?
Yeah, and you've got Diva in your handle on Instagram.
It's not funny to do the Hell Boulevard videos, because I say I want a cameraman, but actually I would be extremely scared to have a cameraman.
And I would feel sorry for that poor guy.
She filmed, I think, once or twice a couple of things for some of our videos. Like on the Not Sorry video, we had a couple of friends shooting 3 things. I think you shot once and the other 2 friends shot a couple of other performances. And then I go home and during the editing, I watch the footage and I'm like, come on, come on. And so I would love to do much more for our videos, but due to my limitations in terms of liking what other people does, I can't. I would love sometimes to use another production, but I don't want to do it because I own a video production and I don't want to use another one. So it's always something in the middle between what it's possible to do and what we would like to do. Also, most of them are $0 budgets, and friends and assistants which are working for free, and everybody's working for free. So
thing with Matteo is like he's very flexible when we're working together on other bands and productions, like clients and whatever. If there is something that he says and that is not gonna work, or that is probably not the best option, we can talk about it and discuss it and come to something that works for both of us. With Hell Boulevard, is kind of like, no.
Yeah, because
and of
I'm
course,
not
I mean,
behind the
it's his
camera.
band, so the argument usually ends with, "It's your band, do whatever you want." That's it.
But
So,
we have some videos which I really, really like. I mean, funny stories. Like there is a song called "The Beach Next Door" from our album In Black We Trust, and the girl which is in the video, we shot that video during a couple of days of break during a tour with Mono Inc. And we had a couple of free days and we decided to shoot this video, and we were looking for a girl, and we found the girl like 30 minutes before the shooting. And that girl turned out to be the main actress of the next 7 videos for Mono Inc. Just because we found her for that shooting, and she was absolutely fantastic and
She was
great
a
girl
really
and
great
great
actress.
actress. And so 30 minutes before the Hell Boulevard shooting, and then a lifetime of Mono Inc. Videos.
So I think you've kind of answered this question, but I do want to ask it anyway. Couples working together, it can be challenging, and when you leave set and go home, and I speak from experience. My father owns a production company and he works with my stepmother.
Oh.
And it is an interest. She's the brains and he's just the talent, and I call her his pimp. But at times it can get very heated, you might say, and it's that line of home and set. How has it been for you guys working together, and have you had moments, you might say?
Personally, I think the biggest problem is not working and being in a relationship, but it's having your job at home. That's the biggest problem, at least personally. I mean, she has a big patience with me. I'm extremely moody, especially when it comes to work. So she has to endure a lot of my struggles when things are not going as I would like.
Not gonna deny that.
But I would say that the biggest thing is bringing work at home, and because our office is at home, so it's never over. It's not the thing of being together, because personally I think that helps. We know both of our flows, and
Do I have some?
no, of course, talking about mine. So we can handle the other person when, I mean, if she sees me during a shooting and maybe she'll get a glimpse of my eyes and she realize, oh, Matteo is getting pissed about something, she knows how to deal with me or how to deal with the people around me or stuff like that. And
Basically get them out as fast as possible.
no, I mean, now it feels like I'm a monster, but you know.
Come on, just joking.
Those work situations. So I think actually that's a good thing. As I said, the bad thing is having an office at home. And even if the office wouldn't be at home, this is the kind of job that it's never over. Because you are always thinking, like every artistic job, it's artistic, or, working with media and stuff like that. Your brain is always like, It's not a 9 to 5 job where 5 you're done and you can go home and hate your job, but at least it's not at home.
But at least we don't hate our job.
No, at least I can wake up every morning when I want.
Yep.
So when it comes to, say, mounting a job or getting the production ready, who is the brains of the outfit? Who is the more practical one of the pair?
I mean, he's a singer, so I think the answer just, got answered with that. I mean, exactly as you explained the dynamics between your stepmom and your stepdad, it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, I'm doing the womanly thing that's multitasking and finding and putting stuff together and working out the kinks in practical stuff and how to make it happen, and he is the eye, and
I arrives on set and I'm like, so what are we gonna shoot today?
It's pretty much like that, yes.
I could never do anything that she does. I mean, we would,
and I couldn't do what you do.
Our company would not exist as it exists now with this big production and these big bands and stuff like this if it wasn't for her, because I could never deal with the things she has to deal with. I would never had the strength or the patience or even the brain for do that. So it's great that she can do those kind of things.
Wow.
So this is my one that I would love to know. How do you tell him no? Like, he's like, oh, we're going to do this and do that. And you're like, no, the logistics are not going to work. This will not work. Or you have to tell him something's not possible. Because sometimes with a creative person, it can be hard for them to hear the word no. So I'm just curious how you deal with that when you have to be like, no, I'm the voice of reason here. And that's not going to happen.
It really depends. Let's just say that generally speaking, we try to do things as much as closest to the idea the band has as possible. If there are things that are not doable because of budget issues or because it's simply not possible, because that's one thing that we often find ourselves telling the clients. It's like when you imagine something in your head, it's not necessarily going to work in a video. So we are kind of translator from what they have in their brain to what is similar or sometimes exactly the same, but works in a video and works in imagery. And that's a tricky part. I gotta say, we haven't had to say that many no's, but when we get to the point where is a no, we have no problem, because it means we have basically contemplated all possible options and got to the point where we know we can't do it for whatever reason. So there is no other way out. There is simply no other way to say it.
We had to say a couple of no's to clients because of budget reasons, of course. Yeah. I mean, if the budget is a box of cigarettes and they are asking for, a change of season and snow and war and bombs and things like that, you gotta say no. I'm the no sayer here in the company mainly. I'm like, she tells me what is people asks and I'm like, no. And then she's like, no, actually we can do that and can do that. So I'm not the one who's like, oh, I want to do that huge thing, and she's like, no, we don't have the budget for that. It's sometimes the other way around.
Yeah,
because
he's not really like dreaming big. He's very, especially because a lot of the weight falls on his shoulder. He's very conscious about what he can achieve and what he needs to do it. So we never had the problem of him wanting to go full Hollywood when there was no chance, because he perfectly knows that there is no chance to do it. But yes, with clients is different. I mean, sometimes they really don't get how expensive a production can be, or how expensive a certain things are, or how time demanding they are. So they want to do like 20 different sceneries and scenes in one day. And you're like, not even if you work 24 hours, like in a row, you can achieve all of that in one day. That's simply not a chance.
Yeah, because it's not, it's not people that works in movies or in TV productions. They don't really know, even though they already shot other music videos, but it's not people who has knowledge of the cost of things, of these kind of things, or the time that you need to do certain things. And also sometimes people do not realize that it's not a movie, it's a music video, and certain things you don't have time to show everything in a music video unless it's Viva Vendetta.
Yes. So this is my last question, but I want to ask. Oh no, wait, second last question. I always do this, but my second last question is for anyone who wants to get into video, who wants to get into production, who wants to do this, and what's your advice to them? Like, how did you both get into it? Like, what is the route to this sort of career path?
I started because I wanted to do a video for myself. I had back then a little country music project for myself, and I wanted to do a little video. And I had a camera, and I started trying to understand how that worked. I went to art school, so I kind of had a little knowledge of colors and things like that. And then it was just learning and learning and doing and learning. And YouTube, actually, when I started, there was not that much YouTube stuff, but by experience, I'm watching a lot of things, watching a lot of videos, watching a lot of movies, reading about lights and equipment and things like that. So my advice is that if you want to do this now, it's really easy because the equipment is much cheaper than back in the days. The resources to learn these are big. I mean, open internet, and you can find so much stuff, even online courses, even paid ones, that are really good with great teachers, or even just YouTube. You can learn so many things. There are beautiful tutorials about lighting on the Arri YouTube channel, for example, which are a dream. They are like master classes, and you can learn so much just from that. So just effort, willing to spend time, hours and hours and hours trying to do things, reading and watching. That's the only thing. It's not, talent is important, but to me it's 1% talent and 99% effort, and
So just get out and do. If you want to be working
Exactly.
film, go
Pretty much,
film,
yes.
pick up a
Yes.
camera. No,
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. So last question, it's just a stupid one. Have you seen that Rick and Morty are doing a live action with Doc Brown from Back to the Future? Because I know you're a massive Back to the Future fan. Have you seen it? It looks
I
amazing.
haven't. I mean, I read it, but I never watched Rick and Morty. I know everybody's telling me that, but I never watched it.
She's offended, like, personally.
Yeah, I know.
No, it's
But
only
on the
because
other side, yeah.
Sorry,
Go on,
I
go on.
love Back to the Future, and because the two characters are based on him, so when I saw that Doc Brown was actually going to play the character based on him,
Yeah,
I was
because
like,
it was based on him,
Oh
so
my
yeah, it makes
God.
totally sense. Yeah. No, I think I will have to watch Rick and Morty at a certain point, but yeah.
It's like when you turn on that side, it's like all Back
Oh
to
my
the
God.
Future
Yeah,
stuff.
here's all Back to the Future.
There is
yeah, I
like
love that movie. It's
comics
so
and-
good.
I can tell you.
I have to say, there was a moment in Viva Vendetta. How do you have all this?
collecting. He's been
Yeah,
collecting
I know.
stuff for years.
Yeah.
So-
Was there any chance that Viva Vendetta was slightly inspired by the Back to the Future film, you know, with Biff Tannen?
Just in my brain. Just in my brain.
Really?
He actually,
that.
he actually was like, "Oh my God, you should throw in some reference to Back to the Future 3."
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you can do it when the band is also very much into the same movie. So
Yeah.
this time didn't happen.
Well, that is all my questions, and I want to say thank you so much for taking this time to talk to me. I really appreciate it, and I can't
you.
wait. When are you guys going to get back on tour? I can't wait.
Theoretically in January. Practically.
Which country?
Germany.
I'll come. It's fine.
Practically, we'll see.
So excited. Well, I will be waiting and watching. So hopefully you'll see me there in the back row going, yes.
I hope so. I hope so.
Okay, well, thank you. Have a good night. And thank you again. Thank you so much for talking to me. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks
you.
for having us once again. It's been a pleasure.
Take care.
You too.
too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, weren't they an absolutely fabulous couple? I really enjoyed the tips that they had, and I think they're really spot on that they were giving to aspiring video directors. And I'm amazed at what they were able to do with such a small budget and such simple lenses and still create such an absolutely huge cinematic feel. Well, until next time, you stay classy.